Andrew was in contact with pedophile businessman Jeffrey Epstein for 5 years longer.
Prince Andrew's downfall came because of his close links and ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
But he actually told him that everything's dropped, nothing. But they can't drop the prince.
There are moments that change everything, moments when your world flips upside down and nothing feels real anymore. That's exactly what people say happened to Prince Harry. According to those close to him, he saw something, photos that shook him to his core. They weren't just old pictures or harmless memories, no. These images allegedly tied Meghan to a world he never imagined she'd been part of. Not her Hollywood years, not her charity events, but something darker, older, and connected to Prince Andrew. And the real twist? This was long before she ever met Harry. Harry always believed Meghan was untouched by royal circles. He thought her story began with him, an American actress swept into a fairy tale romance. But those photos supposedly told another story, a yacht. Familiar faces. Names whispered in the same breath as Andrew's past scandals. Everything Harry thought he knew suddenly cracked open. Because if Andrew's reputation went up in flames for his associations, why has Meghan's alleged proximity stayed hidden? This isn't just royal gossip anymore. It's about what Harry didn't know, what the palace won't admit, and the deafening silence around Meghan's past. Before we even get into what Harry saw and why it's been buried, the whispers are already echoing through the halls of power. They say Andrew's downfall was swift overnight, brutal and public. Every headline, every TV panel, every photo dragged him through the mud. The palace turned its back, stripped his duties, erased him from public view. He became a royal ghost, banished, disgraced, and forgotten. But here's the strange thing. The same media that shredded Andrew into pieces has been absolutely silent about Meghan. No questions, no investigations, no curiosity, just silence.
Parallels between Fergie and Meghan Markle, and throughout Fergie's post-royal life, she's done everything.
Not a single journalist dared to dig, not one editor whispered a question. The silence was too perfect, almost manufactured. And according to royal insiders, it wasn't an accident. It was deliberate, controlled, guarded by people with enough power to erase entire stories before they ever reached the public. Why? Because if anyone started connecting the dots, the palace would face questions they couldn't possibly answer. Why wasn't Meghan's past examined before the marriage? Why was Andrew destroyed while she was protected? Who made the call to look away? Who stood to lose the most if her truth came out? The palace has handled scandals for centuries. They know how to bury trouble. But this one was different. Protecting Meghan meant admitting they either didn't do their job, or worse, that they did and ignored what they found. Either way, they lose. So they stayed silent. And when silence is that loud, it's never innocent. It's power. The kind of power that chooses which stories live and which die.
And here we have Rachel Meghan Markle parading on a yacht since 2014, at the very least at this picture.
And the louder the silence grows, the clearer it becomes. Someone, somewhere, is working very hard to keep certain questions from ever being asked. Now here's where things turn wild. According to people close to Andrew, he's been telling friends something that flips everything we thought we knew. He allegedly said he knew Meghan before Harry. Not in passing, not some polite party, hello, real familiarity. History. If that's true, then the outsider American actress swept off her feet by a prince story? It collapses instantly. The version we've been sold is that Meghan was innocent to royal life, an actress who fell for love, not the crown. But if Andrew's telling the truth, she didn't stumble into anything. She was already inside those walls. People defending Meghan say Andrew's lying, but others insist he remembers her vividly. Conversations, encounters, details no stranger would know. And when Harry learned that, it broke something in him. Remember how Meghan carried herself when she joined the royal family? Calm, confident, unfazed by protocol. She wasn't intimidated by titles or ceremonies. She glided through royal life like she'd rehearsed it. At the time, people thought it was just poise, but now, it looks like experience. Harry always believed she was discovering this world with him. But what if she wasn't? What if she'd already been navigating it long before he showed up? What if she knew exactly how to play the game, and Harry was just the piece she needed? Then came 2014, the year that changed everything. Photos surfaced Meghan on a yacht. Nothing scandalous on the surface. Celebrities go on yachts all the time. But this wasn't any yacht. Insiders say it belonged to circles tied to Karina Shuliak, Jeffrey Epstein's last known girlfriend. And when Karina herself said publicly she only ever traveled with Epstein, well, that's where it all starts connecting.
Buckingham Palace has issued a strongly worded denial that Prince Andrew was involved in any impropriety.
The allegation is...
If Meghan was on that boat, then we're talking about proximity, not rumor. Actual access. The same people. The same settings. The same world Andrew was later destroyed for being part of. And yet, no headlines. No questions. Those photos came and went like a whisper. But inside the palace, oh, they noticed. Quietly. Carefully. They studied every inch of those images, traced the faces, checked the connections, and then buried it. Completely. Because if that story ever caught fire, if the world learned Meghan was already in those elite spaces before she met Harry, her whole fairy tale would crumble. The outsider narrative would vanish overnight. And here's where it stings for Harry. People had been trying to warn him for years. Friends, family, even some within the palace, but he refused to listen. He thought they were jealous or cruel until he saw the photos himself. Then he couldn't deny it anymore. The palace knew. They'd known all along. And instead of exposing it, they let the marriage go through. Because acknowledging it would make them look like accomplices to their own disaster. So how did Meghan get there? How did an actress from Suits end up sailing with people tied to royalty and billionaires? The answer was Marcus Anderson. Back in 2011, Meghan moved to Toronto for her TV show. Marcus wasn't just a friend, he was a gatekeeper, a member of Soho House, a secretive private club where celebrities, business elites, and royals all mingled unseen. He didn't just introduce her around, he placed her. He connected her with Jessica Mulroney, Canada's social elite, and through her, with London's upper class. That's where the door opened to Andrew's world. Not by accident, by design. Insiders say Marcus elevated Meghan deliberately, step by step, until she wasn't just attending parties, she was part of the inner circle. Toronto wasn't just her work city, it was her training ground. That's where she learned how the elite operate, how power talks, how influence dresses. She stopped thinking small. Royalty wasn't a fantasy anymore, it was a plan. And when Andrew became unavailable thanks to Sarah Ferguson, his ex-wife, who allegedly saw Meghan's ambition a mile away, Meghan's focus shifted, straight to the next available prince, Harry. He was younger, softer, isolated. A man searching for meaning, desperate for genuine love. He didn't have the same walls around him that Andrew did. No protective Fergie, no filters, just emotion and trust. So when Eugenie, Andrew's daughter and Meghan's friend long before Harry introduced them, it didn't feel forced. It felt meant to be. But insiders now whisper that it wasn't destiny, it was opportunity. See, Eugenie wasn't just a friend, she was the bridge. Through her, Meghan found the path straight to Harry. And by the time anyone realized what was happening, it was too late. But Fergie saw it early. She recognized that same hunger, the kind that doesn't just want access to power but wants to own it. She lived it herself. And she wasn't going to let Meghan do to Andrew what she once did to the royal system. So, she blocked it, guarded Andrew, but one blocked path only makes a determined person look for another. And Harry? He was right there, wide open. Those who knew him say he was the perfect target, heart first, head later. Lonely, angry at his family. Convinced he was different, Meghan gave him everything he thought he was missing: understanding, validation, purpose, and he gave her exactly what she needed: a royal title and global spotlight. Now, years later, that truth is allegedly tearing him apart. Because while Andrew sits in silence, stewing in exile, he's watching Meghan live the life he lost. The same social spaces, the same faces, the same networks that ended him are now protecting her. And that eats at him. Sources say Andrew has been quietly telling friends he remembers her clearly. Specific conversations. Encounters that don't match the timeline she publicly shares. He claims he has information proof that could change everything, but he's holding it back because once he speaks, there's no return. He's already destroyed, but silence is his last card. And the palace knows it. They're terrified of what he might do if he finally decides there's nothing left to lose, because you can't threaten someone who's already lost everything. Meanwhile, Harry's allegedly living in quiet torment. Those who've seen him say he's not the same man anymore. The spark is gone. The once confident prince now looks broken, questioning every choice. He believed he was rescuing Meghan from a cruel institution. But what if he now realizes the truth that the palace wasn't the enemy? That maybe, just maybe, they were trying to protect him? That realization, they say, is what's destroying him. Because when love turns into doubt, when you realize you might have sacrificed your family, your country, your identity for a story that wasn't real, that's not something you recover from. He's trapped now, emotionally, publicly, practically. There are children, commitments, an entire brand built around their love story. Admitting doubt would mean admitting failure. And Harry can't afford to do that, not to himself, not to the world. So, he stays quiet, pretending everything's fine, even while insiders say he's haunted by what he's learned. And the palace, they're panicking too. Because this doesn't just touch Meghan, it touches all of them. If Meghan's past connections ever become undeniable, the palace will face the worst question of all. Did you know? If they say no, they're incompetent. If they say yes, they're complicit. Either answer destroys them. So, their only strategy is silence. Tight, suffocating silence. Control the press, control the narrative, and pray the truth stays buried. But secrets like this don't stay buried forever. Not when so many people were there. Not when so many photos exist. Not when the insiders, Andrew, Fergie, Eugenie, are all out in the cold with nothing left to lose. The whispers are growing louder. The drip before the flood. Because that's how every royal scandal begins. First the rumor, then the denial, then the silence, and finally, the eruption. And those close to the situation say, we're already past the silence. We're in the drip. Little leaks, tiny cracks, a timeline that doesn't fit, a photo that reappears, a face remembered at the wrong event. And when the flood comes and they swear it's coming soon, it won't just destroy Meghan's image, it could upend the monarchy itself. Because this isn't just about one woman's past, it's about what the palace chose to protect and what they chose to ignore. And once the truth finally breaks through that wall of silence, it won't just be Meghan or Harry left exposed, it'll be all of them. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because this story, it's only just beginning.